Hello. I have been thinking a lot about um, how my idealism and my trust in people has led me to trust those who do not deserve my trust. It kind of was stemming from a conversation I had with some friends, and we were talking about past people from our past, and we were kind of like talking about like a lot of we were going back and forth about different people, and it wasn't very like it wasn't a conversation that flowed really well. It was just kind of all over the place, and it was interesting because I had talked about a few different people and situations in my life, and from that conversation I started to pick up on like themes of um, yeah, I was noticing that there are particular people with certain characteristics that I am more susceptible to being manipulated by. Um, and and I was kind of able to identify the certain things in my thought processes that allowed me to kind of dismiss certain red flags and um, kind of undermine my judgment. So I kind of wanted to talk to you guys about that because I think that it's probably a tendency for ENFJs, and I just wanted to hear if you guys related to them at all. So one thing that I notice is when people are very charismatic and um, I can be drawn to them, um, but which I think a lot of people can be, but I've noticed that the particular people that I was thinking about were people who were that way, um, but they also had some sort of like sob story. So something that had like traumatic that they've been through in their lives, and they shared it with me, and um, they use that as a way to kind of draw me in to having a relationship with them or any kind of relationship. Um, and then would use that as an excuse for any of the behavior that they did, their wrongdoings or their selfishness or whatever. I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but um, yeah, it was really fascinating for me to actually pay attention to that, and I realized that that was happening with each individual situation separately, looking back in hindsight, but to talk about them all in one conversation, it was it was really fascinating to kind of see that overarching theme of um, realizing that I excuse people's behaviors because I want to believe in their ability to change and their sincerity and their apology. But yeah, so I don't know if you guys have found yourself in those situations where someone has wronged you, but um, they seem to be sorry for it, based off of giving you a whole speech, um, kind of owning it, but also um, giving the context of some sob story, so you kind of see them as a victim. And if they're crying to me, then of course they're sorry. Of course they're going to change. And the reality is that a lot of people aren't sincere in that, and they use it as a way to manipulate. And I can think of one specific situation where the person um, told me that they purposely made up a lie about their past because they knew that that was going to kind of reel me in, which looking back in hindsight, it was, it's unfortunate that people use people in that way. So they targeted me as someone who was empathetic and cared about people, and yeah, they used it to get me to have compassion towards them, and they kind of built off of it, and it was just kind of interesting to actually hear them admit it. But I've also, been in situations where they haven't admitted it, but I can see that's what they're doing when I'm looking at it from a more objective perspective. So with all of this, I'm wondering if anyone else has gone through that. I don't think it's just an ENFJ thing. I think that everyone probably can identify at least one person in their life where they've been hurt and they've chosen to kind of ignore red flags and give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think in our idealistic nature as ENFJs, we do tend to really trust that people are good and their intentions are good. And I think it's not in my nature to look at people and assume that their intentions are to hurt me. And I don't want to become that person, but I also want to be able to see people for face value and to see things that are right in front of me instead of wanting people to be good and that framing and molding the way that I see them when it's not even real, So, one of the ways that I would like to approach these situations from here on out is to look at my justifications and to be honest with myself, to know that, am I reaching for these justifications? Is it coming from a place of, this is what I'm hoping that it is, or am I looking at things for face value? What's actually happening? Is there change? Are you being swayed by the emotions that they're showing, or the story that they're telling, or how can I approach things in a way that will lead me to be more realistic? And I think intuitively I will see things that people are doing and in my gut not feel right about it, but in my mind, because of my core values of trusting people and seeing the good in them, I will talk myself into giving them another chance or whatnot. So yeah, share with me what has worked for you, if it's something that you've been through and you're learning about and what's helped you. Another thing that I feel helps ENFJs is to talk to identify the truth of the matter, kind of like what I was saying. But I think when I'm thinking about it by myself, I tend to criticize myself for criticizing other people, and I'll feel guilty about assuming that their intentions are wrong, even though it's kind of obvious. I tend to talk myself out of it. But when I'm talking to other people who have good judgment and are sensible and aren't wrapped up in the emotions or in that relationship, it's easier for me to acknowledge the truth, the objective truth, and I can call it for what it is, and I have less guilt or self-criticism when it comes to, oh no, I'm not, why am I questioning their intentions? They are a good person, and all the lies that I say, but I don't realize that they're lies in the moment, you know? So, yeah, let me know if you guys can relate to this at all, if there's, similarities, and also kind of what you do that helps you work through it. And I'm all about learning how to become more aware of the things that I'm doing and then have practical ways on how to work on it. And I know with every strength there's weaknesses, and when it comes to being an empathetic, idealistic person, um, that that can be seen as a weakness, unfortunately, by other people. And then it can also, for yourself, you're not able to really see people for who they are. Unfortunately, not everyone is good, and it's a hard thing to accept when it comes to you have a relationship with. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt, but as we know in you know as we know, it's just that's not how the world is. And so how do you cope with it when you get involved with those types of people, and how do you trust your initial judgment, and how do you balance out um, being a forgiving and empathetic person without being foolish in it and naive in it? So yeah, let me know, give me some feedback on what you think of this topic, and yeah, talk to you later. Bye.